Hey, it's Pete. A familiar voice, hopefully. Anyway, I want to take a quick moment to highlight the amazing work of the team here at Your Money Line. A few years ago, we noticed this weird, nasty trend that people had financial questions, they had challenges, they had this missing piece to their financial puzzle, and they weren't getting the answers. So then they get stuck, they get paralyzed, and they wouldn't take action, and their financial life would meander and loiter in a bad place. So that's why we created this place. We have an employee benefit company, and it's called Your Money Line, and that's what it does. We help companies succeed by improving the financial lives of their most valuable asset. Not their break room, their employees. Everything we talk about is confidential, and you get access to a certified financial expert to get all your money questions answered, big or small. That's Your Money Line, so bring Your Money Line to your company. Check us out at yourmoneyline.com or any of the social networks you happened to deal with on a regular basis. Good day to you.
You're listening to Pete the Planner.
This week on the Pete the Planner Show, we answer your money questions. That's how the show works. You email us, askpete@petetheplanner.com. That's askpete@petetheplanner.com. I'll read your question on the air. I will then verbalize an answer. And along the way, I'll join forces with my compadre, Damian Dunn, Vice President of Advice at Your Money Line. Hello, mon frere.
Man, that almost sounded like the intro to a epic movie.
Did it?
Yeah, I should join forces with my compadre as we wander across the barren wasteland of the Southwest on donkeys.
Brendan writes, good day, unrelated Duns.
Good day. Well, all right. Longtime listener. I appreciate this.
I have questions. If you wanted to dedicate a full show to them, I wouldn't be upset. They're not explicitly related, so I'll list them separately. But first, background information. My better half and I both turn 30 later this year. Ew, I know, but we had a good run. And we think we're on the right track. Since the joining of our lives, souls, blah, 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 I like this fella. We've made what feels like good progress at getting rid of debt, $50,000 of my wife's student loans and $170,000 of our mortgage are what's left. Okay. I thought that's what they paid off.
Yeah.
And they're contributing to retirement via a Roth 409k. 12% of gross income, including employer match. And if I mathed good, can we hire this guy?
Yeah.
Our power percentage is currently 35.23%. We live on the south side of central Indiana. So our expenses are typical for that area. Now, here come the questions. Oh my gosh, there are 3 questions. Dame, we could dedicate a whole show to this if it takes the time. Do you want to operate on that premise?
I am promising nothing.
I'll say this. The writing of this email, the communication style is good enough to warrant that sort of attention. So
what I'm worried about is the writing of this email is going to greatly overshadow the quality of response.
That's guaranteed. Say you need some extra cash to pay for college with, and it just so happens I got 529 allocations. This is what it says. We have 3 children, a 5-year-old girl, a 3-year-old boy, and a 5-month girl. We've opened a 529 account for each of them. We've been putting our extra money each month towards my wife's student loans, but we know that we need to contribute regularly to our kids' college savings in order to reap the magical benefits of compound interest. Man. Dame, I'm going to let you go. I think this is the guy here. What do you think?
You think he's the guy?
I don't know. We have about, maybe why don't we let me go and then you and this guy can host the show?
No, maybe he can replace me. That's okay.
We have about $1,500 each month extra on top of minimum payments that we're putting towards student loans and putting nothing regularly towards the 529. Should we instead put that toward the 529 plans and just pay minimums on student loans? If so, what percent of that $1,500 should we put in extra each month? Each account's investment is based on expected year of enrollment. All right, Dame, this is another form of a young 22, 23-year-old worker trying to decide whether to start their 401k or pay off their student loans aggressively. I feel like this is another form of that. So this is interesting. So we'll tackle it from that angle so it's more inclusive of our audience. By audience, I mean my mom. What do you think?
I think you got to have a foot in both ponds. I know that's the milquetoast answer or the lukewarm answer, but focus on both of them, because if you can reap the magic, I believe was the phrase that he turned, of compound interest. Well, yeah, you don't want to pass that up for sure, but you don't want to ignore totally the interest on the other side of the table with the debt as well. So depending maybe how the loans are structured, are they federal loans, are they private loans, maybe that comes into play a little bit. But man, I really like the idea of starting the 529s. And I guess the second bit of advice I would give there is have a plan for how much you want to accumulate in the 529s. I mean, do you want to pay for 100% of the education? Because that might influence your approach at this point. Do you want to pay for 50%? Do you just want to say we're going to make sure there's $10,000 or $12,000 a year for each of them when they go to school, whether it's private or public? So start having that conversation and have a target established for those 529s, and not just chucking cash at them.
I 100% agree with that. I think too often people just drop money in a bucket, and there's not enough direction, which informs those decisions. I also think they should look at what else is coming in the next 5 or 6 years of their life, which could increase their income, decrease their income, decrease their cash flow, in the sense that, now all the kids are playing travel highlight, and that's expensive. And so maybe we're not going to have the cash flow of $1,500 a month now, which I think is the whole point. How long will they have $18,000 a year to throw at something? And if it is higher or lower after that period of $18,000 ends, then how does that inform this decision? I also think, Dame, this is the essence of the difference between simple interest and compound interest. If you are paying on a loan, you're paying simple interest. If you are investing your money for the future, you are taking advantage of compound interest. And that is why I believe people should generally focus on building assets if those assets are earning more than the rate that they're paying on their interest. Would you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, and I was, as you were talking about that, I was thinking about, he has a very nice power percentage, assuming it's calculated correctly, and I have no reason to doubt that it's not. Once those student loans get taken care of, then you start making really good decisions on what you're going to do with that portion of money you are spending on student loans going forward. So, take advantage of compound interest now by getting that 529 started. And then it's that glorious day that student loans are taken care of. Hopefully it's before your kids go to school. Man, now you've got another pool of money that you can do something with, whether that's adding to the 529s, maybe helping cash flow college a little bit for your kids as well. But you'll have another big decision to make as soon as those student loans are taken care of. And frankly, I have no doubts that a good decision will be made.
If I had read this email prior to going to air, I would probably have run some calculations. And so now what I'm about to say is as uninformed of an opinion you're ever going to find on this show. What about just halvesies, bro? What about just 250, 250, 250, and then 750 towards the loans? I mean, is that, because then you're taking advantage of compound interest, yet you're still throwing enough to the tune of $9,000 or so a year.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
My personality, that approach would suit very well, because I wouldn't want to neglect one of those goals for the other. And, short of, having a nice pendulum swing back and forth, really focusing on one year and then focusing on the other the next. That kind of feels like the shotgun method of paying off debt to me. And I don't think there's a winner there. So to me, halfsies might be a great approach, absent of calculations to prove us right or wrong, but you're not going to regret trying to accomplish both of these goals. And I don't know if you would be better off significantly by focusing on one over the other first.
I think the other side of this too, like everything we always discuss on the show, there is a technical math answer to this, which of course, is affected by the unknown, but then there's the practical answer to this. And I think what we're trying to do is to give the practical answer, where the technical answer is a simple calculation that I've refused to do.
Did he say how much he's got left in student loans?
Yeah, his wife has got. Wouldn't it also be cool if I sent you the emails
Yeah, I mean that would be
Not
phenomenal,
gonna
but
happen.
I don't expect you to take
$50,000
that.
in his wife's student loans.
Okay.
$50,000. By the way, these guys are in great position. Did a buzzer just go off on my computer?
I didn't hear it if it did.
It just reminded me that my daughter's gymnastics meet is this weekend. That's why I just got the reminder to interrupt the show. That while this show is being broadcast in Indianapolis, my daughter will be at a gymnastics meet. Dame, coming up after the break, it's the Brendan Show. I'm Pete the Planner. This is the show.
Stop what you're doing and hit Pete up on Twitter at Pete the Planner.
Back on the Pete the Planner Show, we had one emailer, Brendan, send us an email, insist that we dedicate the entire show to his financial life. And because of the quality of his writing, his jokes, his clear fandom of the show, we've decided to acquiesce. And we are dedicating this entire segment, this entire show, to Brendan.
Man, can you imagine if Brendan would have sent in a biggest waste of money along with the email?
He may have.
He would have been producer.
I do have to say this, though. The name Brendan really throws me off because I just always want to say Brandon. So if I have any criticism of this person, it's clearly what their parents chose to name them. All right, next. Boring question. I couldn't find a pop culture reference to integrate. VGLI or term life insurance. Oh, Dame, this is going to be a doozy. I know I need life insurance, at least until my kids are grown, and I currently pay for $400,000 of coverage through VGLI. But the rates as I get older aren't cheap, and $400,000 arguably isn't enough anyway. Would I be better off getting a term policy or a different whole life policy instead? I am overall very healthy, but I do have a medical condition that I'm concerned may cause rates to be higher. Do you think, Dame, I mean, I love to speculate about people's medical condition. Do you think this medical condition is his name? Brendan?
It could be. I hadn't considered that.
All right, so Dame, this is a question as old as time, right?
It's old. I don't know if it's quite that old.
You've never been an improv comedian because the proper response there would be yes and, not no, kill the joke.
Sorry.
It's okay. I don't want to give you a performance review on the air. Dame, what say you on this?
I would certainly look into a term life policy that he owns by himself, or a traditional term life policy, I should say. There are insurance agents that can shop it with a number of different companies, depending on what that condition may be. It may be less of a factor at some companies than others, and those agents would know which companies to shop it with. And here's the great thing: if you use an agent, you don't pay any more for the policy. You get all of their experience for the exact same price you would pay if you buy it online. So you are out absolutely zero by dealing with an agent. So personally, yeah, I'd go check it out just to see what's out there and to get a feel for how much of a restriction, if any, that condition really is. Do you feel any different?
Slightly, but just little nuance here and there. I think when I hear of a person with 3 kids that has done 3 young children who's done this much to prepare for their finances, and they understand the importance of just having enough life insurance to get the kids out of the house, all I generally care about is face amount, right?
Yeah.
This guy did not say his income, did he?
No.
But you wouldn't know. I didn't send you the email. Brendan did not give us his email or his income, but I'm going to make some guesses here. If they have $18,000 a year of free cash flow, I'm guessing his income to be close to 100.
Yep.
Okay.
I think that's fair.
So that is to say, I think a person with 3 kids who makes $100,000 a year should probably have closer to $1 million of life insurance. Generally, I don't really care whether it's term insurance or a form of permanent insurance, which can include VGLI, which is variable group life insurance for those wondering. I don't know if I particularly care. But there is one factor in this, is that his medical condition, if it is a chronic one, or if it is one that will preclude him from getting the proper amount of life insurance if he were to apply down the road when he needed a different amount. Let's say his 5-year-old daughter graduates from college and now his insurance needs have completely changed because he doesn't need $1 million of coverage anymore and he wants the proper amount and he wants it to be permanent. That could be a problem. But unless we know what that amount, that cover, or that, medical situation is, it's hard to say for sure. But I will say right now, he is not criminally underinsured, but very underinsured.
So can I throw a wrinkle in here, or a possible wrinkle in here?
Possible wrinkle. Now you're talking.
VGLI is also an acronym that stands for Veterans Group Life Insurance. So he could be potentially a veteran as well.
We're now thanking him for his service. Let's take a moment.
Potential service.
Wait, so potentially I've just mocked a veteran's name on a radio show.
Yeah, probably not your best decision. But maybe he's not.
But I don't know. Oh, man. Now I got to look the guy up on LinkedIn. All right, can we? This is what we're doing right now. Here, say some things that are smart, so I can do this.
So
it's harder than you think, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Putting me on the spot to really say something smart is, well, that's a risky proposition. Ooh. But like Pete, what?
I got it.
Did you find him already? Wow, thank goodness. My smartness was running out.
Brendan, thank you for your service. I love your name. I think it's strong. It's brave. He was in the Air Force. Oh, my Lord. What have I done? Lord, forgive me for the sins that I have perpetrated.
Or at least Brendan.
On Brendan. Oh, my God. What have I done? Anyway. Okay. It is still a form of whole life insurance. At first, I thought it was variable group life insurance, but it is veteran. Maybe it's veterinarian. Let's see it. Let me look at his resume again. Let me see if. Nope, not in animal science.
Missed.
Does this change our answer?
All right. Not on the face, I don't think. I mean, I think the rates may be a little bit more affordable through this VGLI than the one that you're alluding to. And I don't know if there's a cap on the amount of face value that you can get on a policy through VGLI. So maybe the answer is to go back and see what's available through them. And if you can increase it there and the costs are okay, knowing that they might change as you get older in this type of setup. Weigh the differences, and then, if you want to go back to what I said, go out and shop what a fixed term of 20 years or 30 years is, depending on what you're comfortable with. Compare the two and see what you anticipate your costs to be going forward.
Would your answer change if he were in the Space Force?
I'd have ultimate respect if he was in the Space Force.
I have mixed feelings about the Space Force.
Are you anti-Space Force?
I'm not anti-Space Force. I'm they revealed their uniforms the other day and their camouflage, which doesn't make a lot of sense. They should just be black if they want to be camouflage.
You can have little white dots on them.
They don't. They don't have a Starry Night sort of feel to them. So that is a minus.
Make it look like a cloud floating through the sky.
The concept of having a Space Force, on some level, while it is weird because it's both ridiculous and really forward thinking, because eventually it's going to move there anyway. So why not just be first?
Yeah, we're America. We're first.
But the camo choices, look, as a guy who wears a lot of fashion camo, I can tell you they should have gone black with space junk, oh boy, this got weird. All right, Dame. Coming up after the break, we're going to
insult Brendan
serve
one more time.
Those who have served our country. Brendan, we're going to answer your final question before we move on to biggest waste of money of the week. and the news. If you just tuned in, very sorry. I'm Pete the Planner, and this is the show.
Listen up. Now it's time to ask Pete the Planner.
Back on the Pete the Planner show. This episode of the show is dedicated to Brendan, who was in the Air Force, who made sure that aerospace equipment was safe to fly for those that took to the skies. Now, here's the deal. If you're just joining us, a guy emailed in, had a bunch of questions. We decided to answer them. Along the way, I made fun of his name. Then I found out that he served in the Air Force. Then I apologized. Now I'm groveling. And here's the third question that he has. Dame, did I summarize that correct?
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
Dame, I wish you could see this email because now he has switched to emojis. And here's the title of the next section. Are you ready? This is great. Red siren emoji, red siren emoji, red siren emoji, spousal conflict, red siren emoji, red siren emoji, red siren emoji. I want to hang out with this guy.
Yes.
I'll you know what though? If I go and hang out with him though, I'm not going to wear my fashion camo because I'd feel like it'd be stolen valor.
He has multiple reasons to be angry with you.
When I'm at an airport and I'm at the gate ready to get on the plane and they ask for, active military to get on the plane, I always look for opportunity to scream stolen valor at someone who gets on the plane that's clearly not military.
Because you are the expert at determining such things.
I've got a real nose for that.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Save to pay for kids' future weddings? ? They're like tiny right now. We've already, and two, we're already paying for their food and housing and education and extracurriculars. Now their weddings too? I don't know. She thinks it's a nice gesture. I think we have more financially important things to do to save for than tens of thousands of dollars party times 2 or 3. What say you, Duns? Thanks for your always entertaining advice. Best regards, Brendan. I noticed he didn't put very respectfully.
That's true. He didn't. That's true.
The Queen of the Desert's not going to be happy.
No.
All right. Man, talk about a topic that's uncomfortable.
Yeah. I don't know. What's your take on that? I mean, we've both got girls. What do you? What's your outlook on this?
By the way, your daughter have a nice birthday party last night?
She did. She got her dinner that she was asking for, which was a nice steak, which is exactly what
right.
Which is medium rare. Thank you. And she enjoyed it. She got a plethora of gifts and is looking forward to post swim season so she can get her ears pierced. So,
well, happy birthday, that person's name, who I don't choose to say on the radio.
Thanks.
All right. Man, you know what? I've thought about this. Mrs. Planner and I have not discussed it. It's practical, but I think it goes into the world of what priorities, which of course people have pointed out in recent times to use the plural of priorities is to throw logic in the face of what it is to have a priority, which is the number one thing. But I just feel like it's down the list and you've got other fish to fry.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those nice to-dos, but not something that is competing with the dollars at the top of my list by any stretch of the imagination. I don't have an account set aside or even in my budget that says wedding because I don't want to think about my little girl getting married right now. So no, I don't know. I know I'm going to have to probably fork out some cash at some point for that event, but I don't know. I guess maybe the best thing I would say to do is just have a bucket of cash that you've got set aside for unidentified purpose.
I agree.
It's outside of your emergency fund. Maybe it goes for a planned vacation or whatever, and let it accumulate and use it if you need it or want to on something else. But don't put the weight of already identifying that money for something else, because if you do, but then you need it for something really important later on, think of the guilt that you're going to put yourself through if you have to raid that account for a really good reason otherwise.
That's a really good answer. You should write
Thanks.
a blog post about that. Not to assign you any more work that you that you don't have time for, but oh,
sure.
And I also don't want to just side with Brendan, even though I agree, if that is his stance, I happen to agree. But I mean, who am I to just disagree with a veteran? You know,
It's true. So maybe I'll argue. Maybe I'll take your tact and I'll argue the other side now.
Oh, that's my new thing. Can you talk about how annoying that is at our executive meetings?
It's incredibly annoying because Pete will, somebody will ask Pete a question and he'll say, well, look, here's why we shouldn't do it. And everybody will start nodding their heads and go, yeah, I think that makes total sense. And as soon as he gets buy-in on that, he'll totally argue against himself. And we all just sit there and look at him like he's already gotten into the refrigerator and the goodies that are in there.
You're funny today. It's true. That's my new technique. I make very fast and generally good decisions, but I've decided to slow down, and in order to validate my decision, I've decided to argue what I disagree with to make sure that I really feel the way I initially feel. So I guess, Dame, what you can now learn from that is anytime we're having a discussion like that, whatever I say first is not what I think.
Are you doing this at home with Mrs. Planner too?
That's a good question. I don't think so. I think it really is work related, but I will say this. It stems from a really interesting place. I don't know if you've noticed, but we have a pretty polarizing political environment right now.
Huh.
Had you noticed?
You know what? I hadn't.
I have thoughts on what I feel about different topics, whether it's impeachment or socialism or whatever. I have these thoughts, right? And I feel pretty good about my thoughts. But now what I've chosen to do is to try to look at it from the complete opposite perspective, to either see how someone could see it a way different than I see it, or to further validate and allow me to feel better about my stance. So the work garbage I'm doing, which actually I think is healthy for us, it all stems from how polarized I think we are politically. But I don't know if any of that makes sense.
I think that's a good method of, just like you said, developing your own thoughts, or confirming your own thoughts, but understanding the other side as well. And I think everybody's taught that as early as high school. So congratulations to us for finally implementing it 25 years after the fact.
Pay attention in high school. All right. So Dame, not saved for a wedding specifically seems like the answer. If we evaluate people's short, mid, and long-term stability, Brendan and Mrs. Brendan clearly have short-term stability. It appears they are going to have long-term stability, and their attempts to fund the college education for their kids is the nice gesture that they're seeking.
Yeah.
And beyond that, it should just be a pool of non-qualified money, which can be used as they deem appropriate as time passes.
Yeah, absolutely. If worst comes to worst, you just tell your daughters that either they get to go to college or they get to get married. One or the other. They pick.
I have so many thoughts on the cost of weddings, and here's the other side of this though, too, man. Here's what I've chosen to do as I argue against myself more and more these days. My perspective is that of a middle-aged white guy. Like that is my perspective. So as I try to
make sense,
look at these different things that I on the surface disagree with, I either seek the opinion of people who are very different than I am, or I just try to see it from their perspective. I'm not trying to gain credit for being a human here. I'm just saying I look at the wedding situation as it's not that important to me. I just want to be married. I don't care about the wedding itself. But other people don't share that.
It just goes part of being wise in who you choose to marry.
God, I'm so glad Mrs. Planner was not into that whole thing. She was the opposite of a bridezilla.
Do you know how much you spent on your wedding?
You know what's weird? Culturally, at the time, it was the year 2000. The year 2000. Her parents were very private about that amount, which we respected. Again, we were 22, so who were we to argue against it? But Mrs. Planner is also very sensible, so it didn't particularly matter, right? It's not like she was like, I want this. Oh. That's not her voice. All right, let's go to break. Coming up after the break, biggest waste of money of the week, which Brendan did not submit. Hey, way to go, slacker. Thank you for your service. This is the Pete the Planner Show. This week's biggest waste of money of the week, the Blom right here on the Pete the Planner Show, is the Nebbia Moen shower. Some of the best ideas come to you in the shower. Let's stop there. Dame, is that true for you? I mean, I don't really want to visualize you wet, nude. Do you think in the shower well?
Sometimes there are times that I had really great ideas in the shower, and then there are times when I just try and figure out how to stay in there for the rest of the day.
You know, what I tend to do in the shower, I do math on the shower door, like the fog and the condensation on the door or whatever, the water droplets. And so then Mrs. Planner will go in later, she'll be like, what was that equation in the shower? And I'm like, mind your own business. Very personal equation. And it's always long division. It's true. Anyway, that's proven true for Nebbia, as they've come up with some of the best ideas when it comes to showering. God, I hate copy. Their latest innovation, Nebbia by Moen, builds upon the company's award-winning product design and proprietary H2 microtechnology to deliver a blissful yet invigorating spa-like shower experience while using 45% less water than conventional shower heads. Quick time out here. I mean, look, I want our planet to persist. I am not interested in 45% less water in the shower.
I'm just thinking about shower head technology. I mean, how complicated could a shower head be?
Well,
how complicated does a shower head need to be?
Well, Dame, the design is second to none and comes in 3 sleek finishes. Matte black. Why do we need a matte black shower head? I don't want to act like I'm on special forces about to snipe someone. I'm in the shower when I'm doing math.
Yeah, it's not like you're wearing fashion camo in the shower.
Spot resistant nickel. Chrome on white. Vertically adjustable for people of all heights. Don't make a short joke, Dame. Easy self-install and compatible with U.S. and international plumbing setups. Special pre-order pricing starts at $160. It's regularly $199, and it's only available on Kickstarter. Early backers get it as soon as March. Now, Dame, I'm looking at this here. It's one of those showers that it looks like it sprays diagonally at you off the front wall. What I really hate on high-end showers, if we go to like a nice hotel, is the ones that sprinkle from above.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's supposed to be like a nice rain shower, but I don't know. They kind of freak me out. It's like, who's up there? It's like, they confuse me.
When was the last time anybody stood outside in a rain shower and said, this is nice?
Well, you'd get better thinking done if you did. And let's say you're outside in a rain shower and you're soaping yourself up nude. Where are you going to do math?
That's true.
You didn't think of that. Dame, there is a new credit score formula that is going to go into effect in the next several months via the Fair Isaac company. And people are starting to get upset about it already. I wrote about it in this week's USA Today. Here's the concept. Did you read or listen to anything about this week? Because it's interesting.
I read a little bit about it, but I bet you're going to shed new light on it for me.
That seemed really condescending. I'm going to be honest. Here's what we got. A couple things are going on. Number one, the whole point over oh man, now I'm making up stuff. I think the last change of how credit was figured, I think was 2014. And the point was to grow the pool of potential borrowers for lenders. Right? The Fair Isaac FICO works with lenders to help them get what they want out of this risk pool. And so what has happened is lending restrictions have loosened, credit restrictions and requirements have loosened. And so now there are a lot of borrowers in the pool, so to speak. But one of the trends culturally in borrowing are the prevalence and popularity of personal loans through places like SoFi and places like that. So what happens is people have been taking high interest credit card debt, transferring them to a lower interest personal loan and amortizing them over a set period of time. and then running back up the credit card debt, thus doubling down on the amount of debt they have. So this is sort of this special niche of borrowers that has created havoc in risk underwriting. So with the new score, they hope to sniff that out better so that someone cannot maintain a high score when their debt levels spin out of control. But with the current scoring system, they can. With the new scoring system, they can't. Additionally, man, you know what? I'll be honest. I am dropping knowledge right now. I've never sounded this informed.
Well, keep it. Don't stop.
Well, I broke
Just
my
keep going.
concentration now. It's going off the rails. Here, okay, let's see if I can get it back. Additionally, there's going to be a growing gap between high scores and low scores because with the new formula, if a person has a score of 600 or less, if they slip up, have a late payment, miss a payment, any black mark, the black mark will be a bigger black mark. You're going to get counted off more if you've got bad credit for a mistake or a black mark. Whereas if you have a score of 680 or higher and you do something smart, your score will go up faster than previous. So that is to say, there will be a giant gap between people who have good credit and people who have bad credit, and it will be harder to bridge the gap. It will be harder for someone with a bad score to game the system and improve their score and use all these systems and improve their score to jump the gap. And my column goes into the idea that this will be problematic culturally because people have 2 points of view. Number one, they love their credit score and they think it matters, which my argument is it generally doesn't. It doesn't actually measure true financial stability. And number two, people hate being told no. So now you're going to have this population who will be told no more than ever before. By the way, the answer probably should be no, but they will hate it and they won't have a way to bridge the gap to yes. You know what? I think I held on to it for that second part.
I think you recovered.
Honestly, have you
nicely.
ever heard me talk about something and seemed like I had more understanding than just that moment?
No, I'm glad it was recorded for posterity.
I feel like I just had like a spell.
This is like best show of the year.
It is easily the best show of the year.
Totally. So can I add one little thing to supplement what you were saying?
Yeah, because Mozart wants someone adding symbols to his works. Go ahead.
Most people that have credit scores, this will not affect one way or the other, at least majorly, majorly. It's going to be a difference of 20 points one way or the other if the company that they are using chooses to use this new scoring method. Now, as you said, if you fall on one side or the other of a certain level of credit, yeah, you could have drastic swings in your credit score, both either good or bad. But for, I think the article I saw said 110 million people, they're talking like 20 points one way or the other.
I don't want to say your perspective seemed less informed, but thanks for that contribution. I think my point is really more anecdotal than it is the facts. I think people hate hearing no financially, and they will ruin their financial life to get a yes. Now, this is where you get into the whole, I could spend 4 hours at an all-you-can-eat buffet, and they'll let me generally, but I shouldn't. But so often people flex their muscle just to show what they are allowed to do in some sort of weird attempt to feel free. I get it, but it's bothersome.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, people don't want to hear no, and they will tank themselves to get there. So credit scores, yay.
I do think if there's any good news is the companies that portray their ability to improve people's credit by fixing it, they're going to have to reinvent themselves. And so there'll be a small period of time in which their silly gamification won't be validated.
Nice.
Whatever. All right, Dame. Thanks, buddy. Good show. Good show. Best of the year. Thanks, Brendan, for being the show. Sending you good vibes. Good vibes are all that's in the budget. I'm Pete the Planner. This is the show.